BigTime is a companion application to Final Cut Pro that provides a resizable floating timecode display from a source clip or sequence. So BigTime is particularly useful if you're working with maybe a director or a producer that needs to see the current timecode from across the room rather than having to peer over your shoulder. So I've got Final Cut Pro running at the moment, and I'm just going to launch BigTime and we'll have a look at how to set BigTime up. So first thing to notice is that if I start playing the timeline, you'll see that the timecode is not updating on BigTime, and the reason for that is there's two things we have to do. The first thing is we have to set BigTime up as a control surface. It sounds a bit of an odd thing, but basically BigTime works by fooling Final Cut Pro into believing it's a control surface, and therefore it gets access to the timecode information from the viewer or the canvas. So I'm going to go to Tools menu and go down to Control Surfaces. Then click the plus button on the right hand side of the window. Make sure that the control surface type is set to Mackie Control, and then select BigTime as the input and output connections and say OK, and you'll get a picture of a Mackie Control, and we're just going to say OK again. Now that was the first thing, so if I play the sequence now, again it still doesn't work. And the reason it doesn't work, and this is something that catches a lot of people out, including, I'm ashamed to say, myself, is that Final Cut Pro only sends timecode out to a control surface if the audio mixer window is open. So I'm going to select Tools and go to Audio Mixer, and you'll see instantly that now we have a timecode on the BigTime window, and if I hit play it will update in real time. Now this audio mixer window has to be open somewhere in Final Cut Pro, but it does not have to be at the front, so you can hide it behind other windows if you don't want to use it. So just to prove that, I'm just going to match frame back to the original source clip, and if I play the source clip we now get the source clip timecode on BigTime, and you can see the timecode's updating even though the audio mixer is actually hidden behind the viewer. So at this point it's worth mentioning that we get quite a few requests from avid editors asking whether BigTime can show other information, maybe such as the in point or the out point or duration. Unfortunately that's not possible because Final Cut Pro only sends out one stream of timecode. But let's look at what we can do with the BigTime window. So the first thing is we can just pick it up anywhere and drag it to a new position. Secondly, we can resize it so it's not terribly big at the moment, but let's resize it by dragging the bottom right hand corner, and we've now got a super big timecode. Now if you find this frames display over here a bit distracting, then if you hold down the command key and click anywhere on the window, it will toggle the frames display on and off. And finally you can go into Preferences. If I switch to BigTime and go into Preferences, and we can change both the background color and also the text color, so maybe make it yellow color and say OK. And all these preferences, the position, the size, the frames on or off, and the color of the text and also the background will be stored and recalled next time you launch the BigTime application. So that's BigTime from Digital Heaven.